Welcome back to the John Trading Channel. I'm John, and in today's video, we're going to be going over Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins plus some crypto news, so make sure you stay tuned until the end of the video. The price of Bitcoin is currently doing a big down, big up, which shows that we're actually in a trading range, and a lot of traders are actually confused in this area, and I'm going to show you how I'm setting up this trade. Plus, Ethereum is looking a little bit more bullish than Bitcoin. You can see that we're continuing along this trendline trading strategy. We never broke below this low, and potentially looking for higher highs to the upside. Let's now go over some crypto news. In the past 7 days, which includes the 2 SEC lawsuits this week from Coinbase and Binance, we have seen a greater amount of realized profit than realized loss, 8 mil on aggregate, while realized losses continue to get smaller as the week progressed for Bitcoin. So it's showing that although we had multiple exchanges sued by the SEC, the overall realized has been a gain rather than a loss, even though we did have a quick decline, especially on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of these big other cryptocurrencies. We did then continue back to the upside, and a lot of people are rather profiting rather than losing. And in more news, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong dumped roughly 30,000 shares on the June the 5th, just a day before the SEC lawsuit was made public, and shares tanked over 20%. This should be illegal, and it's showing that this Coinbase CEO knew exactly what was going to happen. A couple of days before it did happen, he then dumped a buttload of his shares onto the market and basically saving himself 20%, because he could have then bought 20% more tokens after the tanking came through. Then he just goes back, gets the money that he sold with, purchases back his coins, and he's just saved 20%. This is basically a form of insider trading and truly should be illegal, because if we knew that Coinbase was going to be sued by the SEC, all of us would have dropped our coins, saved an extra 20%, and then bought back on the massive dip. Wells Fargo limiting customer cash withdrawals to only $1,000 due to emergency conditions. The banks are running out of money. Not your keys, not your coins, not your crypto. So it's even showing that really the goal is to be owning cryptocurrency. Even in Australia, the biggest Australian bank, Commonwealth, has actually blocked a lot of the biggest crypto exchanges from transferring your money to that exchange. They're actually completely blocking it. Soon, you're not even going to be able to transfer over $10,000 per month to these crypto exchanges. Inflation is theft by Bitcoin. This photo is showing that 1 ounce of US gold coin in 1933 was worth $20.67. That exact same 1 ounce US gold coin in 2020 is then worth $1,770. And it's truly showing that inflation is theft. We have the exact same product. So from 1933 all the way to 2020, the product hasn't changed, but the inflation rate has gone dramatically up and is basically eating away your hard-earned dollars. Lastly, why does our government and media lie to us every day, repeating the lies over and over and over again? It's in the playbook, it's intentional, and it works. All nations fall this way. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. A lie told once remains a lie, but a lie told 1,000 times begins to become the truth. And this is the game that this massive government media accounts are taking, especially these biggest news accounts. Once they lie to you, they continuously lie day in and day out. And eventually that just becomes the truth, because everyone's like, oh my God, that's what they said. We need to follow exactly. It's absolute crap. And I hate listening to the news. And I really despise anyone that continues listening to it on a daily basis. I just cannot stand it. Let's now look at the weekly time frame for Ethereum. I'll then move over to the daily time frame for Bitcoin, and then we'll move into the daily time frame for some altcoins. So you can see, since early 2023, we have been in this solid uptrend for Ethereum. We're basically up nearly 100% from these lows all the way to there. We are up 100%. So you can see we have this exponential moving average now sloping to the upside. So when we have an upward sloping EMA, it means that we need to begin looking for trades in the long direction, because this slope of the EMA is taking in the average of the last 20 bars. And if on average we've been trading to the upside, it's more likely to then continue trading to the upside. It's just a high probability play. And in between this medium term and short-term exponential moving average is what I like to call the value zone. It's when we are in a strong uptrend. Every time we're in a strong uptrend with the EMA pointing to the upside, you want to be entering into these value zones because you don't want to be buying high in these areas. The goal of trading is always to buy low and to sell high. So the goal here is, since we've had a really strong uptrend in this area, you want to be looking to buy on these dips. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We've come into the value zone of the exponential moving average. We've got this positive sloping EMA showing us that higher prices are more likely. It's not a guarantee, but they are more likely. And we've now come into the value zone. So we're buying right at value, expecting another push to the upside. And this is truly the perfect range to be selling. The reason I truly love this strategy is you can even compare it to this last bear run. All through this area, you can see we had a really declining slope of the exponential moving average, which then just tells us that we have high probabilities of continuing to the downside. And look what happened. When we reached the value zone between the medium and short-term exponential moving average, that was such a profitable sell. We then came into this value area another time, a super profitable sell. Then we came into the value area for a third time, and it's another profitable sell. Reason being it's a sell is because we had that declining exponential moving average. We've then came back, touched on the average price. Once we touched the average price, a lot of people were selling. So it may seem extremely simple, but I'm telling you that these trading strategies that are more simple than complex actually truly work in the market. You just need to be patient. You need to hold on your hands. You need to wait for these value areas to come to fruition, get in those areas, and then just sit on your hands and wait for these high prices to come, and not get all antsy and fancy on the 5-minute chart thinking you just see big ups and big downs. That's not how it works. Now moving over to Bitcoin on the daily time frame. All in this area here, we were in this massive support zone. We were having some small wicks to the downside, but we're basically in this trading range where people were selling high in these areas and then they were buying low in these areas. And look what price has recently done. If we look over here, it might seem like a big up, big down, which actually creates confusion in the market. And we're still in this form of a trading range because look what's happened. People buying low in this area. They're buying low. People are selling high in this area. And look what happened. People are selling high. So you might be thinking, oh my God, what the hell is happening with Bitcoin right now? But this sideways exponential moving average has told me weeks ago that we're in a trading range and nothing has changed since then. We're still buying low in these areas. People are selling high in these areas and they're scalping. The reason that is because we are in a form of a trading range and absolutely nothing has changed. Now, let me show you this on the 4-hourly chart. So all in these areas, people buying low and people were selling high. So you can see that we were in a form of a trading range. The reason being is this exponential moving average is basically slightly up and slightly down, which is basically sideways price action. So people buying low, selling high, buying low, selling high, buying low. So people were buying in this lower third of the trading range, selling in this upper third of the trading range. We did have this breakthrough in this area, but then it failed back to the downside. We did have a breakthrough in this area, but then it failed back to the upside. People are then selling high. We're now basically right in the middle of this trading range. Potentially, we could come back down, retest this area before then coming back again. So you can just see what price is doing. Bounce, 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 bounce. We're in a trading range. This is not a trending market just yet. As much as we are all wanting and we're all expecting that trending market, you need to look to the left. If we've been in a trading range for the last few weeks, it gives us a high probability that we're going to continue in that trading range and not break out of it till we get clear confirmation, a clear break above. What I'm truly waiting for in this area is a massive break above. Once we get a break above into this area up here, we would then come back down, use this, initially was resistance, it will then act as a support level, used as a springboard to massively break higher. Or what I'm waiting for is a really solid break, not just a little breakdown with massive wicks. I'm looking for a really solid breakdown to the downside. Then this initial support level will then act as a resistance level. We'll then resist, bounce off it a couple times, and then look to make continuous lower lows to the downside. So none of this has happened yet. It's just bouncing, especially with all these wicks. Once you get these massive wicks, it shows that there is a lot of buyers in this area. If we come over and now look at the Binance coin, especially after we had this SEC suing. So back in this area, there was a perfect resistance. We have continuous resistance on the upside using this trendline channel as an uptrending resistance. And you can see we had this major breakout to the downside in this area from this high to the low. You can see that we dropped over nearly 20% in the market. So could have been a very fantastic trade. The only way that this trend line would be invalidated is if we come into this area above the trend line and actually get a bar that closes above in this area. But since this hasn't happened yet, what we will expect is potentially price to come back into this area and then again use it as resistance to the downside. If we now come over and look at Solana on the daily time frame, and as I was talking about, we did have a bit of a breakdown in this area here, but what I was saying is we needed a continuation bar to then continue and break below this area and actually close here, and that's not what we got. We've actually got a bar that's closed back above this trend line trading pattern. So using this trend line is a high probability strategy only when we either get breaks below or breaks above. So in this area, it's still using it as support, and if price was to continue breaking to the upside in this area, it still would look like a perfect trade. What's really happened here is we've actually gone for a stop of these lows. A lot of people who were long all in this area here would use this exact price right here as their stop. And you can see that what's actually been happening is prices coming right to this area. It stopped a lot of people out of their trades, and it looks like it wants to continue in that upside direction. So you need to be careful of where you're placing your stops and actually how you're placing them, because really, in my opinion, the true stop level was probably up here, which means that you need to risk a lot more than you're expecting. If you're needing to risk more than you expect, you need to reduce your trading size. You need to take that trade so you're not risking more than 3% of your entire portfolio on any single trade. If you haven't already, leave a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell icon for future updates, and leave a comment if you're enjoying these daily crypto videos. That's all I have for you for today. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.